Bitter criticism, the extended show. Extended show. It's not a show. Real news. The real deal here. Let's read the usual. Just 1 second. The usual thing. Russia Today, TASS, CGTN, and so on, and Al Jazeera. Let's start with Al Jazeera. What's going on? Just 1 second. I open up the CGTN. I opened up the wrong one. Al Jazeera, where are you? Where is the Al Jazeera's app? Right here. Al Jazeera, Tommy. Do you want to see Tommy? Come on, Tommy. Tommy, my doggo. You know how the most important trait of Tommy? Why Tommy is not a simple pit bull? Because sometimes he bark. He barked louder than hell. Isn't it, demon? Tommy what? Tommy Tyson. Tommy Tyson. Tommy something. I just forgot Tommy what? Tommy. I don't remember. Tommy something. Tommy. Well, Al Jazeera is not open. It's not new stories available. But where are any stories? Al Jazeera's app is not working. I'm current offline. Yeah. Why I'm offline? What's going on? Al Jazeera. I'm trying to open up Al Jazeera's app. Well, I just forgot what I thought about Tommy. Well, here we are with live updates. Al Jazeera's app works on updates because very important things are happening. There's no more live updates from Al Jazeera. That's impressive. Oh, from Palestine, from Gaza. Live updates from Gaza is over. Now the live updates is about Syria because so much more important. Much more important. There's a video here. Syrians waving flags gathering Moscow. Remember that Al Jazeera. What I just read today on CGTN. Qatar, the country which controls where Al Jazeera's belong. Al Jazeera's belong to Qatar, and Qatar is supporting whoever ended up Bashar al-Assad government. So that's how things are. Al Jazeera is kind of progressive. It's a progressive media from Qatar, a rich, oil-rich country, a wealthy country. They are supporting the rebels. Anyway, live updates from Syria. UN calls for halt to Israeli strikes on Syria as hundreds of sites hit. Sites what? Sites like archaeological sites, I guess. UN Chief Antonio Guterres, I'm such a moron. UN Chief, nobody, expresses deep concerns as Israel carries out hundreds of airstrikes on targets in Syria by Alastair McCready, December 13, 2024, updated 2 hours ago. They update this in Chilean night, like 9 p.m. something. Here is kinda 11 p.m. now. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres is deeply concerned over the hundreds of Israeli airstrikes on Syria, saying there is an urgent need to de-escalate violence on all fronts throughout the country, his spokesman said. Well, I'm sorry, Al Jazeera. I guess I'm more well informed than you guys. I know I already knew this by Pepe Escobar. Pepe Escobar said that, yeah, the explanation from Pepe on TV 24/7, Brazilian YouTube channel, he said that situation in Syria is, Israel is stealing some real estate from Syria, and that's it. And something like ISIS is controlling the mainland. But here we go. United States Nation Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has defended Israel's extensive attacks on sites in Syria, saying Israeli forces are trying to neutralize potential threats. Yeah, such a stupid policy, this is kind of this is the first time I'm going to repeat this by myself. My conclusion on this policy is that, of course, if you do if you do bad doings, wrongdoings to anybody, some people will take actions against you. Anything you do, maybe you have to think about it, because people will revenge, people will take, and in the other hand, the only strategy in this is keep going, keep accelerating this offensive till the end of everybody. So at some point Israel will do something wrong to powerful people, and these powerful people like Iran anyway, Israel by this time is just destroying their enemies. People say Israel is going to collapse, but I guess Israel is just a Nazi Zionist state. Is just a proxy from the US government, deep state. Jordan will host a crisis summit on Syria over the weekend to be attended by top diplomats from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Turkey, the US, the European Union, and the UN. The UN envoy to Syria says images emerging from the notorious Sednadia prison and other detention facilities show the unimaginable barbarity suffered by Syrians for years. Yeah, I heard that too, but that was fake. So come on, Al Jazeera, such a strange position, isn't it? Qatar, what the hell Qatar is doing against Bashar al-Assad? Why? So yeah, I got this from a very long time ago. I got this feeling against Al Jazeera, that Al Jazeera was too liberal, and now Al Jazeera is too Zionist, Friday, December 13, a few seconds ago, Israel seizure of Syrian territory, a case of further expansionism. Analyst Stefan Zuns, a politics professor and Middle East expert at the University of San Francisco said the Israeli military's push into Syrian territory was a clear case of further expansionism by an opportunistic Israel. One can argue about, quote, one can argue about whether Israel should bomb weapons facilities that could get into the wrong hands, as they say. But the ground invasion has no logic to it whatsoever. No strategic rationale, Zuns told Al Jazeera. Quote, this is clearly taking advantage of the fact that Syria is not in a position to defend itself anymore, unquote, Zuns said. Quote, with most of their Navy and Air Force destroyed, with the leadership in flux in the government trying to desperately hold things together, this seemed to be the perfect opportunity to further expansionism, he said. Yeah, Israel will expand into Syria, into Golan Heights. Quote, already there are tweets from Israelis looking forward to building a ski resort on Mount Hermon and talking about holding to this area for an extended period. I mean, they clearly feel they can get away with this, he added. In recent days, Israeli forces have moved deeper into Syrian territory, including the Syrian side of the strategic Mount Hermon that overlooks Damascus. The push by Israeli forces into the militarized zone near the occupied Syrian Golan Heights rips up a 50 years ceasefire agreement with Syria, which established a buffer zone between both countries, according to the United Nations peacekeepers. So I'm very skeptic about. I'm very skeptic about the future. You know, I only read whatever I read about the West and BRICS and Israel. It's saying to me that Israel is winning. The United States is winning. The EU is winning. And you know, Syria, there's no more. Just as this path continues, there will be no more Russia. Just like that. No more China. Who knows? No more global south. Global south will keep being slaves, I guess. Israel soldiers pass a security fence moving towards the occupied Golan Heights in Syria, in the town of Maidal Shams on December 12, 2024. 15 minutes ago, watch. Israel's attacks on Syria show its changing regional role analysis. Israel's response to the collapse of al-Assad's regime, including deployments in the Syria-controlled part of the Golan Heights and a bombing campaign against military infrastructure, shows how Israel's regional role has profoundly changed, says Professor Rob Gates Pinfold, the scholar of international security at Durham University in the UK, told Al Jazeera that the scale of Israel's strikes on Syria's military infrastructure is unprecedented. Israel feels insecure, whether that's true or not, and as a response to that insecurity, what do they do? They take territory, he said. We have seen that happen in Lebanon. We have seen that in Gaza, and now we are seeing that happen in Syria. Listen to Pinfold's comments in full below. I will not do that. 35 minutes ago, Friday, December 13. There's some insect over there. Parents of U.S. citizens found in Syria thought he was dead. Parents of U.S. citizens found in Syria thought he was dead. As we have been reporting, Travis Timmerman, a U.S. citizen who has spent 7 months in detention in Syria, was discovered walking the streets of Damascus on Thursday after being released from prison by rebel forces. Timmerman, a 29-year-old from Missouri, who was last seen in the Hungarian capital of Budapest in May, spoke with several journalists and told them he was detained after crossing into the country on foot on a Christian pilgrimage. It was not known before he was found that Timmerman had entered Syria. In an interview with the Reuters news agency, Timmerman's parents, Richard and Stacy Gardiner, have described his return as the best Christmas present ever. Quote, "I was hurt and I thought he was dead. I really, truly did. But I didn't want to give up on him. I didn't want to give up on my son," Stacy said. "I don't care. I will skip this." Is a bearded boy. 1 hour ago, more on Russia establishing contact with Syrian rebel leaders. As we reported earlier, Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov has confirmed there has been direct contact between Moscow and the political committee of rebel leaders in Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, according to the state media. According to Russian news agency Interfax, Bogdanov said Moscow hopes to maintain its bases in Syria and talks with HTS, the most powerful force in the country after al-Assad's removal, were proceeding in constructive fashion. Quote, "The bases are still there, where they were on Syrian territory. No other decision have been made for the moment," Bogdanov said. Quote, "They were there at the Syrians' request with the aim of fighting terrorists from the Islamic State. I am proceeding on the basis of the notion that everyone agrees that the fighting against terrorism and what remains of ISIL is not over," he added. Well, and that's it. I will read just one more because I guess it's more substantial. Syrian exile groups calls for UN role in formation of transitional government. The United Nations should have a role in establishing a transitional government in Syria. An official with the National Coalition of Syrian Revolution and Opposition Forces, a Syrian opposition group in exile, has said. Mohammad Salim Al-Khatib, an official with the group, said a transitional governing body should be formed in Geneva in order to have international legitimacy. Quote, "The transitional governing body, whatever its form, whether it is the Salvation Government or any other, what matters is that it has international recognition," unquote. Al-Khatib, who is now in Damascus, told the Associated Press news agency, "It is not yet clear if Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, the main opposition group now in control of Syria, will pursue such a process. An interim government headed by Mohammed al-Bashir, who also heads the Salvation Government in HTS' former stronghold in northern Syria, has been assisted to oversee the country until March." Al-Khatib also said that creating a professional Syrian army should be a priority of the transitional government. Quote, "We do not want a civilian who was trained during the revolution to carry military weapons to become the military," he said. And that's it. The next one, watch Syria's new administration inherits healthcare system near collapse. Well, I'm not liking Al Jazeera. I guess Al Jazeera is not that great, you know. What the hell is they are doing? What the hell? What role they are playing in this terrible situation? I'm going to try to read some Russia Today, and then I'm going to put this video, forbidden news for the global north, forbidden news for the free world. Well, my internet is not so strong. My signal is weak, but here we are. Russian Prime Minister proposes sending Assad to Mariupol. What? The exiled ex-Syrian leader should aid in the reconstruction of Donbass. Dmitry Kuznetsov has argued. What the hell? Russian Prime Minister Russian Member of Parliament proposes sending Assad to Mariupol. December 13th. Home Russia and former Soviet Union. There's a photograph here from former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the Kremlin on July 24, 2024. Exiled former Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad should contribute to the rebuilding of Russian cities damaged during the conflict with Ukraine, Russian politician Dmitry Kuznetsov has said. He added that Assad could potentially be given Russian citizenship. Assad, who ruled Syria for nearly 25 years, was overthrown earlier this month when a coalition of armed opposition groups dominated by the Islamists from Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS captured Damascus in a lighting over offensive. According to the Kremlin, Assad and his family were granted asylum in Russia. He has not appeared in public or released statements since the fall of the Syrian capital on Sunday. It is unclear what he plans to do next. Quote, I believe Bashar Assad and his family could become benefactors of one of the areas of Donbass that was devastated by warfare and could move into one of the newly built houses in Mariupol. Kuznetsov, who sits on the Parliamentary Foreign Relations Committee, told Gazeta.ru on Thursday. The Black Sea port city of Mariupol, currently part of Russia's Donetsk People's Republic, was seized by Russian troops in 2022 after a 3-month siege. The Russian authorities are undertaking reconstruction of the city. And there's an analysis by Fyodor Lukyanov. After Syria, this is the role Russia should embrace. That's interesting. I'm going to read that next. A related news. Quote, I am in favor of Assad proving himself in service to the Russian people and after that, for his contribution to the recovery of Donbass, he could consider the issue of citizenship, the politician said. Another legislator, Alexei Zukarylyov, argued earlier that Assad deserves to be granted citizenship because he, quote, has done enough for Russia, unquote. According to Russian officials, Assad made a decision to step down following negotiations with unspecified opposition groups. Mikhail Ulyanov, a senior Russian diplomat, described the decision to grant Assad asylum as evidence that Moscow does not betray its friends in difficult situations, unquote. Russia intervened in the Syrian civil war in 2015 in order to help the Assad government fight various opposition forces, as well as the terrorist group Islamic State, IS, formerly ISIS, ISIS, while future of the Russian military bases in Syria remains unclear. Russian Foreign Ministry said that it maintains contact with the new HTS-led authorities in Damascus, and that its diplomats and military personnel are not under immediate threat. And now, Fyodor Lukyanov. Well, I actually don't really understood what this member of parliament said, why Bashar al-Assad should go to Mariupol, and what he should do there. Maybe it was just a dire comment, a bitter criticism against, maybe I did the same criticism against, but not in public, maybe in public. Maybe it was in public, but it was, maybe I'm not absolutely right about it, because me and this member of parliament, because right now Assad is a victim too, Assad is a victim. Of course, he lost, maybe without a fight, but maybe he already knew beforehand that he had no chance against the H something TS. That's how things are. And to be more clear, I'm not I don't think Russia is absolutely safe. I don't think maybe Russia is winning Ukraine, but Iran just lost Syria. And what's next, isn't it? Everybody in the left, in the progressive media, everybody's saying, well, now it's Syria, what's next? Everybody's thinking about what's next. Is Iran, whether Russia, Fyodor Lukyanov, after Syria, this is the role Russia should embrace. The era of great power dominance is fading. Moscow's future lies in Mastering Regional Diplomacy by Fyodor Lukyanov, the editor-in-chief of Russia in Global Affairs, chairman of the Presidium of the Council on Foreign and Defense Policy, and research director of the Valda International Discussion Club. There's a photograph here. Russian forces fire on Ukrainian positions in the Krasnogorovka area. A Russian soldier. In 2015, when the Russian armed forces launched a military operation in Syria, it marked a turning point in the post-Soviet era. The collapse of the USSR had caused a dramatic decline in Russia's international standing. For 2.5 decades after 1991, Moscow worked to regain lost status, prestige, and influence on the world stage. Syria symbolized the culmination of that process. Russia's first decisive intervention beyond its immediate post-Soviet neighborhood in one of the world's central conflicts. Back then, in 2015, that's what I thought too. Back in 2014, the new Russia had acted militarily before, but only within its former Soviet sphere. This presumably led then US President Barack Obama to dismiss the country as a regional power. The Syrian intervention shattered that perception by decisively altering the course of the civil war. Moscow demonstrated its ability to influence major global crises beyond its immediate borders. There's another from Fyodor Lukyanov. How likely is a nuclear exchange over Ukraine? I'm not going to read this one because I just have 2% of battery. The fall of Assad and its implications. The recent fall of the Assad government which only survived 9 years ago, thanks to Russia's intervention, marks another significant turning point. Analysts will dissect the causes of Assad's downfall, but the critical question for the Kremlin is what this means for its broader geopolitical strategy. Quote, there's a photograph from Syria. People wave guns in the air as they gather to celebrate the fall of the Syrian regime in Umayyad Square on December 8, 2024, in Damascus, Syria. Russia's Middle East engagement wasn't just symbolic, it had practical outcomes. Moscow's military success weakened the Islamic State, with the US acting in parallel, while boosting Russia's regional stature. Key Middle Eastern powers, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iran, and even Israel, came to recognize Russia as a key power broker. The formation of OPEC Plus was in part facilitated by Riyadh's newfound interest in working with Moscow. Even amid complex rivalries, Russia's influence became undeniable. This occurred against a backdrop of increasingly erratic US Middle East policy and diminishing Western European involvement. As the global order fractured, Russia's participation in shaping the region reinforced its place at the table of global powers, or so it seemed, shifting global dynamics. However, by the time Russia reached its post-Soviet peak, the international landscape had already shifted. The post-Cold War model, in which fixed great power status appeared attainable, this disintegrated into a world of shifting alliances and situational partnerships. And again, Fyodor Lukyanov, here's why this weekend's Ukraine peace conference is a sham. I'm not gonna read this. I want to read the Pepe Escobar article, the last one from The Cradle, I guess. I read it, I'm not sure. There was two articles, actually. I don't remember. Today's international system is shaped by transactional interests. Every country now prioritizes its immediate national concerns with limited regard for broader, long-term alliances. This has led to a form of regionalization where countries closest to a crisis not only have the greatest stake in resolving it, but also best chance on doing so. Russia's reduced involvement in Syria is an example of this shift. Preoccupied with the Ukraine conflict and attached to a weakened ally in Damascus, Moscow lost much of its strategic flexibility. Regional players like Iran, Turkey, and Israel have since taken the lead in reshaping the Middle East political map, with external powers playing mostly supporting roles. Yeah, it's logic. Lessons from Russia's future strategy. The Syrian conflict underscores the growing importance of regional actors in shaping global events. The rapid resolution of its civil war involved far less outside intervention than earlier stages of the conflict, and the US played significant roles early on. The latest developments were driven primarily by local players. I'm not gonna be able to read it all because I just have 20 minutes left. Focus on Ukraine, not prestige. Conclusion: regional power revisit. The last paragraph. Russia must now consolidate its role as a dominant regional power while staying engaged in strategically critical areas like the Middle East, but only when but only when doing so supports its core national interest. Yeah, it's explained. So this is the multinodal world. The multinodal world. The Middle East is lost, I guess. But you know, in my opinion, bitter criticism. Maybe the US is controlling the Middle East. What about that? It's a multinodal world, but the US is still ruling it, I guess. Or I guess maybe. Yeah, you know, the United States of America. They're still controlling a lot of things. They're still controlling the world by the dollar. Donald Trump, I don't remember now. I didn't read it. I didn't pay much attention to this. But Donald Trump was threatening the BRICS members not to not to abandon the dollar. So the US is still controlling the world through the dollar. The United States is still giving Ukraine a lot of aid. Maybe Ukraine is over. But in my ignorant opinion, that doesn't matter, you know. That amount of money is just nothing, you know. I mean, giving Ukraine weapons, but those weapons, they were built to do exactly that, you know, just to. So I don't know. I really don't know. You know, what's the point on create weapons and then to destroy the enemy, you know, to destroy Russia. But that doesn't look it will happen. I was watching some videos that it was showing that that America, they have new equipment, and then, well, the old equipment is kind of garbage, you know. So war, conflict in general, you will have money after the victory, you know. So there will be a victory, a victory of the US against Russia, over Russia. Will the US win this war, World War III? Because it doesn't matter, all this garbage, you know. It's very similar what happened in Chile, for example. Sometime, every once in a while, France sells some F-16 to Chile, you know, garbage. And sometimes Australia sells some frigate to Chile, you know. But all this is garbage, you know. They don't care. Australia doesn't care about these frigates over there on the sea. France doesn't care about the F-16s. What about Tommy? Tommy, are you going to destroy the world, Tommy? Such a big dog, look. Such a good dog. Good dog, Tommy. Maybe I have some poetry, but I don't have more cell phone. You know, I have to tell a personal news now. I saw the young woman I love today. I saw her. I'm pretty sure I love her because when I see her, I get when I see her eyes, you know, when I see her face, I feel dizzy. I feel bad, you know. I feel like dizzy, not bad, you know. I feel like I am Hypnotized, yeah. I feel I'm living in a different chronological, you know. I don't know what Henry Bergson, the philosopher, will say about this, but definitely there's a love song back in Brazil. They say, "When I see you, I forgot all the time I was living without seeing you." You know, well, this Henry Bergson, philosopher, French philosopher, I guess it's French. What he say is exactly that. We only care about the experiences we care about. You know, like, yeah, you can live for 5 years in Chile with zero great experiences. But just like that, you know, a woman, a young, beautiful young woman, and she is important to you, you know, and that's it. And she makes you drink. I drink a little bit. I drank a little bit. And well, Tommy is farting here because I will release Tommy. And I'm just waiting for the. I guess I'm not going to wait for the 47 minutes. But that's it. Who is going to win the World War III? Who is going to win World War III? We are going to win, Tommy. Tommy! I'm sorry, boy. Let's do it.